Japan has issued a firm warning to China over Taiwan as regional tensions across East Asia continue to intensify, highlighting a significant shift in Japan's security posture and deepening concerns about stability in the Indo-Pacific. The warning comes amid sustained Chinese military activity around Taiwan, growing strategic rivalry between major powers, and increasing anxiety that a conflict in the Taiwan Strait would have far-reaching consequences for global security, trade, and diplomacy. At the center of the dispute is Taiwan, a self-governed island that China claims as part of its territory and has vowed to reunify, by force if necessary. Taiwan, however, has its own democratically elected government and maintains strong informal relations with countries such as the United States and Japan. While Japan officially recognizes the One China policy, it has long emphasized the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, given its proximity to Japanese territory and the vital sea lanes that pass through the region. Tensions escalated significantly in late 2025, when senior Japanese leadership publicly stated that a Chinese military attack on Taiwan could pose an existential threat to Japan's security. This remark marked one of the clearest signals yet that Tokyo views the Taiwan issue not merely as a cross-strait matter, but as a direct national security concern. The statement was widely reported internationally and immediately drew sharp criticism from Beijing, which accused Japan of crossing a diplomatic red line. China responded by lodging formal protests, summoning Japanese diplomats, and issuing warnings through official channels and state media. Beijing reiterated that Taiwan is an internal matter and warned that any foreign interference would be met with firm countermeasures. Chinese officials argued that Japan's comments violated past political understandings and inflamed regional tensions, while also accusing Tokyo of aligning too closely with U.S. strategic objectives in the region. Alongside the diplomatic fallout, China has continued and, in some cases, expanded military activity around Taiwan. The People's Liberation Army has conducted frequent naval and air exercises, including operations involving fighter jets, bombers, warships, and missile units. These drills have often crossed Taiwan's air defense identification zone and, at times, simulated blockades or joint strike operations. China has described these actions as routine training and a necessary response to what it calls separatist activities and foreign provocations. Japan has closely monitored these developments, expressing concern that the scale and frequency of Chinese exercises increase the risk of miscalculation or accidental confrontation. Japanese defense officials have stated that stability in the Taiwan Strait is inseparable from Japan's own security, noting that key Japanese islands lie close to Taiwan and that any conflict could quickly spill over into surrounding waters and airspace. The economic dimension of the issue has also played a major role in Japan's warnings. Japan relies heavily on maritime trade routes that pass near Taiwan, including routes used for energy imports such as oil and liquefied natural gas. Disruption to these sea lanes would have immediate and severe consequences for the Japanese economy and for global supply chains, particularly in semiconductors, where Taiwan plays a dominant role. In response to the evolving security environment, Japan has accelerated long-term changes to its defense policy. The government has approved record defense budgets, aiming to raise military spending to around 2% of gross domestic product over several years. This includes investments in missile defense systems, counterstrike capabilities, intelligence and surveillance assets, cyber defense, and closer operational integration with allies, particularly the United States. These changes represent a historic shift for Japan, whose post-World War II constitution imposed strict limits on the use of military force. Over the past decade, Japan has gradually reinterpreted these constraints, allowing for collective self-defense in limited circumstances. The growing tension over Taiwan has reinforced the view among Japanese policymakers that stronger deterrence is necessary to prevent conflict. China has reacted critically to Japan's defense expansion, accusing Tokyo of abandoning its pacifist principles and reviving militaristic thinking. Chinese officials and state media have repeatedly invoked historical grievances, warning that Japan's actions could destabilize the region. Japan has rejected these accusations, stating that its defense policies are transparent, defensive in nature, and fully consistent with international law. Diplomatic relations between Japan and China have deteriorated as a result of the dispute. High-level political exchanges have become less frequent, and trust between the two governments has eroded. Economic and cultural ties have also been affected. China has imposed restrictions on certain Japanese imports, while Japan has issued advisories to its citizens regarding travel and business operations in China. Major business delegations and exchange programs have been postponed, reflecting the broader cooling of bilateral relations. Despite the heightened tensions, both sides have signaled that they do not seek direct conflict. Japanese officials have emphasized that their warnings are intended as deterrence, not provocation, and have reiterated their desire for stable and constructive relations with China. Beijing, while maintaining its firm stance on Taiwan, has stated that it prefers peaceful reunification and dialogue, though it has not renounced the use of force. The dispute has broader implications for the Indo-Pacific region and the international community. The United States has reaffirmed its commitment to supporting Taiwan's self-defense capabilities and maintaining peace and stability in the region. Washington has also strengthened security cooperation with Japan, including joint military exercises and strategic planning related to regional contingencies. Other regional actors have expressed concern as well. Australia, South Korea, and several Southeast Asian nations have called for restraint and dialogue, warning that any conflict over Taiwan would have devastating consequences far beyond East Asia. Members of the Quad grouping, Japan, the United States, India, and Australia, have emphasized the importance of a free and open Indo-Pacific and respect for international norms. Taiwan itself has responded by increasing military readiness and reinforcing civil defense measures. Taiwanese leaders have condemned China's military pressure and reaffirmed their commitment to defending the island's democratic system. Taiwan has also sought to strengthen ties with like-minded partners, while urging the international community to oppose unilateral changes to the status quo by force. Analysts note that the Taiwan issue has become one of the most dangerous flashpoints in global geopolitics. The convergence of military buildup, nationalist rhetoric, economic interdependence, and alliance politics creates a complex and volatile environment. Even without deliberate intent, the risk of escalation remains high if communication fails or if actions are misinterpreted during periods of heightened tension. Japan's warning to China reflects a broader reassessment of its role in regional security. Once cautious to avoid involvement in cross-strait issues, Japan is now more openly acknowledging that developments around Taiwan have direct implications for its own safety and prosperity. This shift underscores how the balance of power in East Asia is changing and how long-standing assumptions are being re-examined. Looking ahead, much will depend on whether diplomatic engagement can stabilize the situation or whether continued military signaling and political pressure will deepen divisions. Confidence-building measures, crisis communication mechanisms, and sustained dialogue may help reduce the risk of conflict, but these efforts face significant challenges amid rising strategic competition. For now, the message from Tokyo is clear: peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait are no longer abstract principles, but urgent priorities tied to Japan's national interest and regional order. As tensions between Japan and China continue to unfold, the international community will be watching closely, aware that the outcome will shape the future of East Asia and global security for years to come.